Hi everybody, how are we all doing? I hope having a good week so far. So today is Thursday the 23rd of January 2014. Do forgive my voice, I am not feeling too well this week. Bit of a cold and whatnot, so yeah, we'll just persevere as best as possible during this review. And speaking of reviews, obviously this is the review for episode 11 of Arrow Season 2, titled Blind Spot. Okay, first of all, I just want to quickly say that there were some moments in this episode where I felt a bit underwhelmed. I don't know how everybody else felt, but there were some awesome moments, especially the end. We'll get to that in a second. So this review will be full of spoilers. So if you've not watched the episode, you don't really want to know what you know what happens, then don't watch this video. Okay, it's that simple. Anyway, so let's crack on. Opening episode, we pretty much kick off from where we left off last week. Sebastian Blood, obviously his secret has now been revealed to Laurel by his mother, who we all thought was his aunt, that he killed his father and put his mother in the mental institute, aka St. Walker's Hospital, and he goes to visit her. Knows that obviously Laurel visited his mother, and she eventually tells him what she told Laurel, and well, a few moments later he returns as Brother Blood and kills his mother. So it was just, yeah. So when Laurel received the call about the sudden death of Maya Risic, that rang alarm bell straight away for Laurel. She obviously knew that Sebastian was behind it. Tried to get her colleague Adam involved in the situation, you know, to search his workplace and his apartment and places like that, because she believes that Sebastian was behind the killing of his mother and a few other things that have been going on as well. When obviously Adam wasn't willing to cooperate and go along with Laurel, she decides to call in the help of our illustrious Hood, the Arrow. Bearing in mind that Laurel has been taking unprescribed drugs, okay, the drugs that actually belong to her dad, that he's been taking in the past. So she's got addicted to it, okay, and this is where her downfall kind of starts. This episode pretty much is the beginning of Laurel's downfall as such. We find, as I say, so Laurel's enlisted the help of the Hood. They need to find evidence that, you know, what what Sebastian Blood rather did to his dad actually happened. They go through all the necessary places to look for the information, only to find that said information doesn't exist. That's the hard copy. We're not talking about digital copies. We're going back years ago, before, you know, hard copies existed, before digital was made. Even Felicity said to Oliver, you know, she can't find anything, have to go to the Hall of Records to find the information, and they nearly get arrested. There was an awesome fight scene with well, I say an awesome fight scene, but the way that the Hood and Laurel managed to escape from the police was pretty awesome. But then later on, Laurel gets arrested, thanks to Sebastian getting involved, and yeah, as I say, that started the downfall for Laurel, and you actually felt sorry for Laurel. You really did have the feels for her. It was just a bit unfair. On the flip side, obviously, back on the island, Sarah and Oliver, you know, they have a little conversation with each other. They reminisce. Sarah tells Oliver about a time when she had a crush on Oliver, and Laurel knew about it, even though Oliver blames himself for allowing Sarah to join him on the boat. Sarah says, well, it wasn't all his fault, she was partly to blame as well. So they had a bit of a moment there. Then I thought for a moment that Sarah was actually going to betray Oliver by going back to Ivo, because she started speaking to Ivo over the radio. Ivo telling Sarah how he needs her, how she saved him, he was in a dark place, all the usual stuff. But when Sarah woke up and realised what she was doing, she said, no, I don't want to have any part of it. turns off the radio, gives it to Oliver, suggests they go and look for Slade, because at this point Slade's disappeared. We don't know where he's gone to. He's disappeared somewhere on the island. Now, back in the present, Slade Wilson is now more in the picture this time. We get to see a bit more of, you know, present Slade Wilson, as I'd like to say it. He has a pop at Sebastian, you know, for almost messing up their plan in trying to take the Hood down. He wasn't happy about what's happened with Laurel, you know, the situation that Sebastian's gotten Laurel into in some sense, that Laurel's digging too much, and, you know, but, you know, Sebastian was trying to say to Slade, look, you know, you're the one that told me to get close to her, keep an eye on her, all this sort of stuff, that's how we're going to hurt the Hood and such, but it just turns out that Slade, he wants to be very careful. He's got a plan in place. He knows what's to be done and how he's going to execute it. So he doesn't want Sebastian messing it up. And this is where it turns into the, as I say, when Laurel gets arrested, it's because of the possession of drugs and her being addicted and all that sort of stuff. Quentin couldn't quite believe what he was seeing. You know, Sebastian calls in the favour of Brother Daly, who, you know, is a police officer, arrests poor Laurel. Eventually Laurel does get discharged. Also, well, we'll find out later on in the episode that when she gets kidnapped, this time she gets kidnapped by Sebastian Blood, when Oliver goes after Sebastian to find Laurel, what we see is an epic fight scene between Brother Blood and the Hood. It was pretty awesome. Eventually, as the Hood is about to apprehend Brother Blood, something unusual and unexpected happens. Laurel shoots and kills Brother Blood. And I was like, okay, that's too easy. There's no way that would happen. So when the mask was taken off, it was not Sebastian, as I had thought it wouldn't be, because I thought, if that's Sebastian, this is not right. There's something not right about this episode. But no, it wasn't Sebastian, it was Brother Daly, the police officer. And Laurel's world just came crumbling down all around her, because she was adamant that Sebastian was behind the whole thing. To which point, even Oliver started to believe that Sebastian was behind everything as well. So it really crushed Oliver that he was wanting to believe Laurel so much, but it crushed Laurel more, because she was under the impression that Sebastian was behind all of this. And on the other side of that, obviously, we've got Roy and his super strength now, and he decides to tell Sin, and because he's got this pent-up rage all inside of him, he wants to unleash it. So what do? They decide to take it out on someone. You know, someone who's done bad things, and they come across a guy who has been slicing and dicing up prostitutes. What a perfect person to go after. So Sin decides to dress up as a prostitute to lure this guy in, and just as he's about to do his deed on poor Sin, along comes Roy, rips the car door off. Could not believe it. Rips it right off, and then starts beating this man to a pulp within an inch of his life. At which point Sin decides to stop him. He reacts against Sin, he knocks her out, but then comes to his senses. The guy's in hospital. This guy's put in hospital. He hasn't told Thea, so when Thea comes to the hospital to find out what's happened, Sin eventually tells Thea, look, you know, we put him in the hospital. But it's like, how did Roy do that? Thea doesn't know. Sin knows, but Thea has no idea. Whether or not Roy's going to tell Thea is another thing altogether, so we have no idea. Which, interesting, is next week's episode, Bronze Tiger is out of prison. Oliver trains Roy, even asks Roy, do you have one of your hoodies? Seriously, do you really have to ask that? And then, well, I can't wait to see how that episode turns out. That one's called Tremors, so that'll be interesting to see how that one goes. But I just want to quickly mention the end of this episode of Blind Spot was just sublime. It was epic comic book goodness. I could not believe it. I was literally grinning like the Cheshire Cat when I saw what happened. Sebastian goes to see Slade Wilson. regarding Laurel. We hear Slade's voice. Next thing you know, all of Sebastian Blood's men, 4 of them, get taken out, sliced up, cut up, all by Slade in his Deathstroke get-up. And when I saw that, I was just like, yeah, baby. And it looks like something out of Arkham Origins. I reckon the executive producers of Berlanti, Guggenheim and Griesberg have all watched, or not watched, but played Arkham Origins and thought, let's use that for Deathstroke's outfit in Arrow for, you know, the present day Deathstroke. And it looks amazing. Oh my god, I had epic goosebumps. I was grinning. I was like, that's the Deathstroke that we all know and love. That's the Deathstroke that I've been wanting to see on TV for a while now. I mean, not what we saw in Smallville. That was just, nah, we don't even talk about that, to be honest. But this Deathstroke, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Spot on. Couldn't have asked for more. So yeah, I was really, really impressed with that. So anyway, so what does this really mean about Laurel? Because as I say, this was in essence a sort of like a Laurel-centric episode as well. Because after she got kidnapped and then, you know, her colleague Adam came to see her at the police station, he unfortunately had to tell her that she can no longer work at the firm anymore because of her drug addiction. The charges against her were dropped for the killing of Officer Daly, or Brother Daly as you want to call him, because they saw it as self-defense. But Adam felt she was too unstable and, you know, she wasn't in the right frame of mind, that she can no longer work at the firm. So we'll see, I'm sure, down the line where Laurel's future is going to be going. You know, it is a journey for her into becoming Black Canary, but how she's going to get there, she's going to go downhill first before she gets back up, and maybe Sarah might have something to do with it as well. I'm sure she will. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all very soon. Bye.